You know what, chat? I believe this is the first time ever that I'm late. I mean, I'm always on time, and I'm really sorry to have disappointed you all by subverting your expectations. So, I am really, really sick. Like, really sick. My nose is clogged. I have this weird voice, which I guess it's not nasal, so that's fine. But hopefully, I will not sneeze during this live stream because whenever I sneeze, there is like an explosion of stuff that's coming out of my nose. It is very icky. So I hope I don't do it on camera. But other than that, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And we're going to have a very beautiful video where Hassan Piker is going to react to Elon Musk taking over Twitter. So, yeah. Wait, are you guys hearing an echo? I see people saying echo in the chat. I don't think there's an echo. I hope not. By the way, why is everyone right now telling me about chubby people and mobility scooters? Like this was my day today. I had so many. It's just like there's probably a meme there somewhere and I'm missing it. Anyway, let me show you some good memes. The Independent. This is probably going to appear in tomorrow's video, but the Independent. Having a blue check on Twitter is now like wearing a MAGA hat. You'll know who to avoid. You know, this is like a machine that's gone rabid and it's attacking everyone, including itself. Like the Independent right now is causing harm to others, but mostly to itself. I just, you know, I guess like the person writing it didn't realize, oh shit, well actually Independent does have its own checkmark. Oh, well maybe I should phrase it differently. But I guess, you know, you can do so much brain drain at a company until, well, you end up with people writing stuff like that. This is another one which I found on Facebook. I wasn't aware that they even allow memes like this to exist on Facebook, but well, there you go. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Elon Musk. $8 for Chris. Jesus. I think she's not used to this shit. Like most people that she interacts with are, you know, prominent politicians, and usually they do not respond to her. So when dealing with someone like Elon, she just didn't know what to say. But yeah. I can't jump scare you. It's not Halloween. I wasn't trying to jump scare you. I was trying to be funny. It's different. $8. Oh my god. It's even funnier when you realize that people were claiming that they were asked to pay up to $15,000 for a blue check mark under the table. So there's multiple reports of this now. It's not just one person, which is very interesting because like up until now, no one wanted to talk about it, but now there's so many people coming out of the woodwork. And there were gaming channels, mostly YouTubers and bloggers, right? Because people like working at corporations, they would have access to, you know, like the company probably had the deal with Twitter, so that's how they paid. But what I'm saying is like, there were many people who are coming out now, and they're saying that they were asked that if they want a blue checkmark, they could pay up to $15,000. Some people said 5,000, other people said 10. But like that was the price for the blue check mark. And the way it went, like Twitter has a registration on their main website, right? So you want a blue check mark, you go there, you pay the cash, and then there's a review process, and then they decide whether or not you're getting it. But like almost no one would get it that way. So if you actually went through the official channels, you'd be turned down. Disclose TV is a perfect example of this. Disclose TV is a incredibly popular news channel on Twitter. I think it has over 1 million subscribers, and it never got a blue check mark, right? So you couldn't get a blue check mark the official way. But if you happen to know someone at Twitter, a higher up, you could pay them under the table, and they would give you the blue check mark. Isn't that fucked up? So, you know, all these people going like, oh my god, it's $8. Like, how are poor people going to pay for it? Like, I'm you know, of course I, AOC, have $8, but other people do not. And I'm compassionate about them. What am I going to do with them? And, yeah, before that it was 15,000, so yeah. Thank you, Runaway Susie. But I do have a wife, so take that into account. Inflation is that high. $15,000 for a check mark. Man, it's $15,000 to join the fucking club. Like, you don't understand, right? Like, obviously, for an average person, like if I go to your mother and I give her a blue check mark on Twitter, she doesn't have, like, she's not going to benefit from it, right? Like, it's just a blue check. Why would she want it? Like, she can't use it. But if you're a content creator, right? If you're a blogger, a YouTuber, a journalist, right? Someone like that, that has his job revolving around interacting with the public, then a blue check mark is worth $15,000. It's very valuable. Like that's why they would ask so much, because people were willing to pay for that shit. So it begs the question, like Keffels, for example. Like Keffels was complaining that they didn't get a check mark, and eventually they did. So I wonder if they paid or not. Can you imagine? You know, like this to me is eye-opening. Imagine people who had to spend $5,000 or $10,000 for a check mark, and now other people can get it for $8. Like imagine the buyer's remorse that they might be experiencing. My channel is incapable of giving this level of buyer's remorse. Like it probably makes these people absolutely livid. However, they can't talk about it in public, right? Like imagine like what people would think if a blogger came out and said, yeah, I paid $10,000 for my blue check mark. Like, people would laugh at them. They would mock them. They would ridicule them, right? So they can't talk about it. But they're literally livid that other people are now going to get it for free. Well, not for free, but like $8 is, like, let's be honest. It's cheaper than a Netflix account. Am I going to pay $8? Of course I'm going to pay fucking dollars. Like, it would actually help me. I could then post my videos on Twitter, and it would be with a blue checkmark for people to fucking see. I can troll people, and they can see who the fuck I am. Yeah, I would pay $8. Sure, why not? Have you heard the news about Final Fantasy 16 not having diversity? Oh, fucking hell. Really? Not Final Fantasy 16? Oh my god, really? Holy shit. You know what I like? It's like the IGN was like, Final Fantasy 16 has an awful answer for why it doesn't have diversity. And I'm thinking like, you do realize that if you ask dumb questions, you're going to get dumb answers. Like, why does it need... Like, first of all, like, this would be the question. You know, like, if I was the developer and someone asked me, it's like, oh, why does your game not have diversity? I'd be like, why does it need to have diversity? What is the advantage of having that? Because the implication, I guess, would be that it's racismus or some shit. And it's like, well, yeah, but like, we're Japanese characters and we're Japanese developers and we're writing about white characters. Not to mention, like, there's also a very interesting experiment that was done, which shows that people who watch anime, like, for example, if you watch Dragon Ball, right, and you look at Bulma, most people in the West will say that, well, Bulma is a white lady, right? People in Japan might say, well, she's South Korean, or they might say, like, oh, she's Japanese. Like, someone actually did this experiment. So they traveled in China, and they traveled in South Asia, and they traveled in Japan, and they would show people, like, anime characters, and they were like, what race do you think this character is? You know, what race is Eren Yeager? What race is Bulma from Dragon Ball? What race is Sailor Moon, right? And it's very fascinating, because it's like your own brain, your own lived experiences is casting like ethnicities on these characters. Like obviously sometimes, due to the nature of the character, like they're Japanese, right? Like Sailor Moon, like well that takes place in Tokyo, right? Like so she is Japanese. Even though like because of the big eyes, right? They don't look Asian. They look more like Europeans, but still it's very interesting. For you to say hi to my bro Ethan, who I sent link. Oh, hello Ethan. I appreciate that you're here. I hope you enjoyed the show. Aaron's white. Yeah, I think Aaron Yeager, according to the lore, he's German. So, I think like the Marleyans are also Germans. I don't know. Whatever. The point is, that like I don't understand why it should have diversity, right? Like if a company makes a game, cause like this is the thing, right? Like they would say, well, to sell more copies. I would be like, motherfucker. We're making Final Fantasy. The whole world knows about Final Fantasy, all right? Like, there are people in secluded places in Africa and in Asia and in other places that tribes that haven't been discovered by mankind, and they know about Final Fantasy. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, are you trying to teach us how to make a game? Like, are you the game journalist coming to me, the Japanese developer, the Chad Japanese man with a really resting bitch face nonstop, and you're trying to teach me how to make a game when I make Final Fantasy? Do you know what IP I make? Bitch! There are more people that play my fucking game than there are people reading to your shit rag. That's how they should respond. But unfortunately, Japanese people are a little bit more polite than I would be. Teaching me how to do it. Well, the thing with Japan is that they are having a lot of they're experiencing like a lot of attacks right now on anime. So you have the Japanese Communist Party attacking Dragon Quest. You have like a Japanese voice actor, which was in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, concerned about representation. You have Square Enix talking about wanting to appeal for a wider audience, right? And they're not caring about Japan anymore. Now they're caring about the wider audience. And now you have this shit. And it's all happening within 1 to 2 weeks. So it's obviously something really coordinated. What I think is like a lot of the gaming companies, like they're on board with the censorship and catering to America's sensibilities. So now the pressure is on to the little companies. It's like, hey, look, it's time. It's time, all right? Like, no more. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because, yeah, I mean, it's all about also the desire to have like live adaptation for manga, which in my opinion is the dumbest thing ever, because manga doesn't translate well into live adaptation, but whatever. So like if you want to get a deal with Netflix, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's like, get to the list. It's like, all right, in order to make a story, right, that comes at the end, okay? The story comes at the end. Like, first is the message. All right, do you have enough LGBT characters? No? Well, you need to... well, look. Some of them need to go through conversion therapy. Like, do you have any characters of couleur? Like Netflix. We are at Netflix. We love characters of couleur. Do you have any? No? Well, you better get some and, like, paint them differently. It's like... And then the sensibilities, the topics. Rising of the Shield hero. What? The princess accused the hero of rape? No, that can't be done. No, we don't. That's insensitive. That's offensive. Netflix is not the only streaming service. Okay, do you think the others aren't like that? Do you think Amazon is different or what? Do you think Netflix is something special? Oh yeah, you poor little summer child. Anyway, right? Let's listen to Hassan Piker. So I haven't watched the video, all right? Because I wanted to have you guys see my live reaction to it. But I was told it's really funny. So let's enjoy. Hold on. Where did I put the video? Don't tell me I lost the video. Oh no, here we go. I was a little bit worried that I might have lost it, but no, it's here. Isn't it annoying when you copy a link from Discord expecting to go on YouTube but actually takes you back? So yeah. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Holy shit, look how many... Jesus, like Hassan is a professional. Oh my god, it makes me look like I'm an amateur. Look how many threads he's got open. Jesus. Alright, let's see. Hold on, just a second. I need to do something very important for my health right now. Oh god. Ah. Okay, I'm done. Now, to put my chat, where should I put my chat? It's, like the screen is already filled with Hassan's chat. Is it just me? By the way, I've watched a couple of Hassan Piker's videos. This is just my take, right? I watched some of his videos when he was the bro guy, professor. So for those of you who don't know, there are videos on the internet out there, in the annals of history, which he calls himself the professor, and he's talking about women and dating advice and stuff, and he's like a very macho man, right? Like that's the old Hassan. And after he was challenged by the Candyman, all of a sudden he's like wearing glasses and he's got like his hair, all that, you know, like no more macho man. It's like wearing a shirt, you know, like no more. Is it just me? I don't watch him all the time, so I don't know. But it feels to me that ever since the gauntlet has been thrown, there has been a little bit of change in the way Hassan presents himself. You know, is that correct? What is it? Is this Obama? Is this Obama and the Queen? And the Queen has X for eyes. Oh my god. Do you know, like, I will tell you something behind the scenes, right? Making a room for streaming is very fucking difficult, right? Because, like, look behind me. Like, look behind me. Like, what the fuck do I put there? What the fuck do I put there? It's so annoying to get a background, right? So what you do is, like, you start, like, getting a shelf, and then you're thinking, like, what do I fill it with? Okay, let's fill it with, like, a little ball with a smiley face and a basketball, and, you know, because this is relatable to the young audience, right? We got a little unicorn here. Like, this is what the kids like. This is how you do it. It's actually very difficult. Anyway.
Load of the Elon Musk has laid off a shitload of the staff over at Twitter.
Why does he talk like this? I mean, I don't follow him often, but is it this the normal way that he usually speaks?
Twitter HQ let that sink in. Last Thursday in the SF office, really last day Twitter was Twitter 8 months pregnant, have a 9-month-old, just got cut off from laptop access. # love where you worked. Yeah.
How many people were laid off during the pandemic, by the way, because their businesses were closed down? Huh? How many people got fired because they tweeted something and the offense necromancers unearthed the tweet? I mean, from what I know, like, Twitter would shadow ban people that were saying, hey, you know, it's a pandemic, we get it, but, like, if you're going to shut down businesses, it's going to make it so that people can't feed themselves and they can't feed their family. No, that was being shadow banned, right? I'm just pointing it out. Like, I was wondering, like, where was the empathy and the compassion then? Where was it?
Elon is clapping, dude. Here's one fun little piece.
By the way, the company is losing $4 billion per day. Like, that really shocked me. So, if you're losing $4 billion a day, like, what do you expect? Like, if Hassan's channel, let's say, would start losing money, do you not think he would fire some of the staff? I assume he has some staffs, right? Like, I assume he has an editor, moderators. He pays his moderators, doesn't he? I don't know. But, like, assuming he would, like, wouldn't he fire some? It's like, hey, no hard feelings, but we're losing money. What the fuck?
Of information. It appears Elon Musk has fired the director of software engineering at Twitter, who, with a team of researchers, found tweets posted by accounts from the political right receive more algorithmic application than the political left. What?
Okay. So, Elon Musk has fired the director of software engineering at Twitter, who, with a team of researchers, found that tweets posted by accounts from the political right receive more algorithm amplification than the political left. Do you think that this, do you think this find is accurate? Like, do you honestly, like, when you go on Twitter, do you get bombarded with right-wing posts? I mean, I do follow right-wing people, and I don't get bombarded with right-wing posts. So, in other words, yeah, like this software engineer was shit at his job.
Amplification than the political left. What did we find? In 6 out of 7 countries, all but Germany, tweets posted by accounts from the political right receive more algorithmic amplification than the political left when studied as a group. Right-leaning news outlets, as defined by the independent organizations listed above, see greater algorithmic amplification on Twitter, which, by the way, is the exact same for Facebook and YouTube. That is precisely why it is not an accident. Whenever you watch like a Dr. Phil video, 3 videos down the line, you literally end up watching Ben Shapiro and then finally arrive at like some Nazi. That's
so it's against the YouTube TOS to be a Nazi, but I guess like Hassan's definition of a Nazi is very broad, you know, very generalized. However, I don't know what the fuck Hassan Piker is watching on YouTube. I don't get that. Like, I don't get the Ben Shapiro's. I don't get, like, the only thing that I get, which is right-wing, I guess, is Tucker Carlson. Because it's, like, corporate. Like, that's what I get on YouTube. I get corporations, right? So I get MSNBC, I get CNN, I get, like, Fox News. I don't get fucking Ben Shapiro. Where the fuck do you get Ben Shapiro, Hassan? Where did you find him? Show me the Shapiro. Show me to, like, like, chat, do you get Ben Shapiro? Like, honestly, do you get Ben Shapiro? Like, and by the way, like, I have to follow the people that I want to watch. I have to manually type them in the search engine in order to get them. And sometimes, like, the YouTube algorithm would show me that these people tangentially exist. But, like, overwhelmingly, it's corporate news. Ben Shapiro is a slippery slope to Yahtzee. Yeah, from the Jews to the Yahtzees, according to Hassan. Dr. Phil to Nazi And by the way, you know, like, I can tell he's bullshitting. Who the fuck watches Dr. Phil? Who the fuck watches Dr. Phil in 2022 on YouTube? Like, you log on to YouTube, and you're like, you know what I'm going to watch today? Dr. Phil. Who does that? Yeah, I don't get Shapiro. I get pushed to Fox. That's what I get. And if you start watching a lot of Fox videos, you get pushed to MSNBC. And if you watch a lot of NBC videos, you get pushed to CNN. That's how it goes. Like, most of my YouTube is, like, filled with VTuber shit. Some anime stuff, some video games, and Fox News. I mean, look. I'm on Hassan Piker. Right? I get the critical drinker, which probably only appears because he's got 1 million views. This is some sci-fi stuff, you know, ranking the galactic powers of Stargate. I get more Hassan. I don't know what the fuck JP education is. Maybe this is where the Nazis are, huh? But it's Elon Musk talking. I guess it's because it's in connection with this video, right? More Hassan. What? Oh, we got Arabian Nights by Will Smith. This is where the Nazis are, right? Like the podcast of the Lotus Eater, right? Look how much I need to scroll down in order to find the right. But like, no, most of it, Vice magazine, right? More Hassan. Hassan. Oh no, we got Ken Ashcorp. Okay, finally, we got to the Nazi. So what the fuck is he talking about? This is my lived experience on YouTube. This is not, you know, like something different than what I usually get. What right-wing bias, according to the algorithm, are we supposed to receive here?
That's how this shit works. And they still cry about it. And this was the same back in like the Gamergate era. But again, they
no one was complaining in the Gamergate era that the algorithm was there wasn't even a fucking algorithm back then. Like back then, I remember in 2014, you would just get the people you'd subscribe to. Like that's literally it, right? So like you had the main page, and the main page was usually chronological, and then like you would subscribe to people, and not fucking real, but you'd get. I know this is just mind-numbingly to believe, and it, like it might shock people, but you'd get the actual people you subscribe to on your page, right? So for example, if I were to subscribe to Hassan, when I would log on YouTube, I would just see like a list chronologically of Hassan videos, right? You'd have like a click that took you to your subscription page, and you had like the channels like on a line. The last video would be the first, and then you just scroll down and you see all the people you subscribe to. There was no fucking out. Like no one was even complaining back then about this shit.
Cry about it so much that people think that it is genuinely the opposite of reality. It's the same exact bullshit with like conservatives engaging and weaponizing in cancel culture all the time, and then claiming that libs are the ones doing it. So many people, including liberals themselves, have basic.
So right-wingers cancel Destiny. You know, like who else got canceled on Twitch? Let's go to how many people got canceled on Twitch. And let's see if it was a right-winger doing the canceling. Let's see if a right-winger was doing the cancellation on Twitch. Like, even besides that, like, do you think there are right-wingers at Twitter? Like, do you think there is a single right-winger in Twitter? Well, not before Elon Musk came, right? I would be really interested to see that. I love how he just makes these statements without showing any evidence, any proof, any you know, he's not backing his claims. He's just like, oh yeah, well, right-wingers, they're engaging in cancel culture. And by the way, yes, right-wingers do engage in cancel culture. I'm not denying that. But like, let's be honest, like how often does it happen? And how much institutional power does right-wingers have in the realm of social media? Like, do you think Twitch is ran by right-wing people? Do you think that YouTube is ran by people with MAGA hats? Like, I'm genuinely curious.
Basically believed this lie that cancel culture is exclusively the method of the left. Right-leaning news out.
No, it's actually the method of the evangelicals. Like, they were the first that did it. Like, the Concerned Citizen letter, the 1 million moms type of thing, writing email campaigns and boycotting corporations and stuff. But then there was a period where that didn't exist. And then the left started doing it. And it's almost predominantly left-wing. Because, like, if you have, like, for example, a Trust and Safety Council, which is very far to the left. Like Twitch, for example, right? Like, if the moderator is from Twitch, if I go with a lot of right-wingers and I complain about Destiny, no one gives a shit, right? Because it's like, well, you're right-wingers. Who cares what you think? But if you have, like, a group of left-leaning people and they go after Destiny, well, then Destiny gets the platform. So that's why it's not necessarily like right-wingers are above cancel culture or anything like this. They just don't have the power to do it. On social media, at least. Very rarely, though. Like, it can happen. You know, like, if someone says something so monumentally stupid, like, for example, Hassan Piker did, when he said that 9/11 was deserved, like, he actually said that. Yeah, okay, fine. If you're literally that, you know, out there, that level of edge, and you piss off, like, millions of people, yeah, then yes, the right-wingers are going to cancel you. And given with Hassan, like, he got canceled by right-wingers twice, right? So that was the one. And the other one was calling, he was saying slurs against white people. Like, again, which was kind of bizarre, though, to see Twitch actually have applying the same rules for everyone. That actually shocked me a little bit.
Outlets as defined by independent organizations listed above see a greater algorithmic amplification on Twitter compared to left-leaning news outlets. However, as highlighted in the paper, these third-party ratings make their own independent classifications. As such, the results of analysis may vary depending on which source is used. Tweets about political content from elected officials, regardless of party or whether the party is in power, do see algorithmic amplification when compared to political content on the reverse chronological timeline. But yeah, people are getting laid off in this, unceremonious fashion. Elon Musk is fucking complaining about it. Twitter has had a massive drop in revenue due to activist groups pressuring advertisers, even though nothing has changed with content moderation, and we did everything we could to appease the activists, he says, which is bullshit. Extremely messed up.
How the fuck do you know? Literally, how the fuck do you know? Were you there at the talks? I mean, he actually met with ADL and a couple of other activist groups. From what I can see, there is literally no change on Twitter right now. How do you know that he didn't try to appease them?
They're trying to destroy free speech in America. Even Hank Green is coming after his ass. You tweeted a conspiracy theory from a website less credible than the National Enquirer like 4 days ago. We all need to look inward as well as outward. And he said, and therefore Twitter should die. That's not the post. But of course, that's not what Hank Green was saying. But of course, dude, of course, he literally did the same thing that everyone on Twitter does, which is, you didn't say this thing, but guess what? I'm going to act like you said something you actually didn't say. Classic. America's had a massive dump in the economy due to the radical left pressuring local leaders for higher pay, even though nothing has changed under your favorite president doing everything he can make these radicals happy. Bigly messed up. They're trying to destroy America. Oh, it's not a real tweet from Trump. Fucking owned. That's a fake tweet. Thank God Twitter is out here doing...
Someone had to tell him that this is not a real tweet from Trump. Like, someone in the chat rescued him from embarrassment. Yeah, like, Trump is not on Twitter. Like, why would you... Doesn't even have the fucking check mark. Like, don't you think you would read it in the news if Trump came back on Twitter?
The most. I've never seen this much fact-checking, by the way. Surprisingly. I'm not going to lie. There have been so many fact-checkings happening on Twitter recently. Also, there's a potential.
Yeah, actually, hold on. There is something that changed on Twitter. So, everyone is getting fact-checked now. Like, the Democrats are getting fact-checked. The White House is getting fact-checked. Elon freaking Musk himself is getting fact-checked. So, I do agree with the fact that there has been a change. But, like, the fact-checking isn't done by authoritative fact-checkers. It's actually done by the readers, right? So you have like this new program, I guess, which is like Readers React or something like this. And you can offer context, and I think it's like a Reddit system, like people upvote based on, you know, the best fact check. And yeah, like it actually works. It actually, from what I can see, it's applied both to the left and to the right. It's average people doing it, so you can't say that there's people that have a particular bias or special interests, right? Like, I mean, sure, there may be people with interest, but when there's hundreds of thousands of people doing it, it's less likely that the ideology taints the actual check. So, yeah, sure.
Potential class action lawsuit as well. Twitter was just sued in a proposed class action for conducting a mass layoff without the required 60-day notice. It looks like employees are getting their notices, and at least some will be paid until January 4th, says the attorney who sued Twitter under the WARN Act. I am pleased that Elon Musk learned something from the lawsuit we brought against him at Tesla. Elon Musk is now making an effort to comply with the law on advance notice for layoffs, the attorney who sued Twitter last night now says. But she says she'll be looking into concerns about how Twitter chose which workers to terminate and retaliation. The fact-checking and adding this level of like context to tweets is not necessarily a bad thing. I don't have an issue with that, especially if it's being applied evenly, because liberals deserve it.
Oh my fucking god. Give me a second so I can bypass this. Well, I'm glad Hassan likes it. I'm curious what happens when he will get fact-checked. The moment Hassan gets fact-checked, I will be really curious to see if he still likes it. But you know, if he does, like, hats down. I'm like, okay, well, at least it's consistent.
Leftists deserve it, and right-wingers definitely need it, okay?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So I don't have an issue with that. I think that's a decent thing overall. I just don't think that it'll be evenly applied. First company that isn't...
Dude, it's evenly applied for the first time. To be honest, like, I think you should get rid of fact-checking. Like, what the fuck happened? Why can't you think for yourself? Are you an adult or not? Like, if you can't tell if something on the internet is true or not, like, maybe you shouldn't be able to do business, right? Like, you shouldn't be able to find a job because someone is going to take advantage of you. You shouldn't be able to buy a house because someone can take advantage of it. I mean, if you're literally that dumb that you just can't tell if something is true or not, then how can you go through your day-to-day life? You know, so you're on social media and you get fact-checkers, but then you actually go through your real life and you have to do business transactions and shit, and all of a sudden there's no fact checkers there. How are you going to manage? You know, like this whole shit with the fact checkers, man, like it's literally censors. That's what it is. You know, like people deciding what gets right and what doesn't. And the biggest problem with fact checkers is that there is no repercussions for them. Like, for example, the Hunter Biden laptop, right? Like, all of them fact checked it that it's false. And after the election, turns out it's true. How many fact checkers got fired over that shit? How many fact checkers got in trouble? You know, during the pandemic, we've seen how many times, like, well, one day it was this thing that's true, another day it's this, you know, mask on, mask off. It was made in a lab, it wasn't made in a lab, right? How many fact checkers got fired for this shit? None. Zero. So they have no accountability whatsoever. But for some reason, you should look up to them with awe and by the way, how do you even become a fact checker? Like, why does a fact checker have something that I don't? Like, is there like a path of the Buddhist monk that I need to follow? Do I need to sniff the lotus flower and do the yoga position in order to ascend to the level of fact checking, which seems to be like a knowledge that is above humanity? It's like the council of fucking elders at Twitter. I'm fucking glad they got fired, by the way, like the fact checkers. Well, what a useless job. Which can be done, by the way, can be done by the public, as we can see. And Hassan Piker likes it. So there you go.
Propped up by federal contracts. Did somebody get addicted to government subsidies? Is true. This is a good tweet. Good job, Austin. This is a banger. Elon Musk has now purged roughly half of Twitter's 7,500 employee base, leaving whole teams totally or near completely gutted, including those tasked with defending against election misinformation ahead of the U.S. midterms next week. That's a fire thing to do, by the way.
Oh my God, yes. How can you have democracy with people talking to each other? Like, if people just start talking with each other with no chaperone, with no one to guard what the conversation, holy shit. Can you imagine how the elections were done back in the day without the government monitoring the postal office? Without the government listening to people's phones and wiretapping to make sure that what they're saying is okay? Oh, no, like, no, the misinformation, oh. By the way, like, were people even talking about misinformation, like, I don't know, 4 years ago? Like, isn't this a new term that got into the lexicon? And all of a sudden, it's, like, so important. Look, if it's so dangerous, just shut down social media then. All right, like, pass a law. I mean, there are countries who did this. I remember, I think it was Nigeria, and Joe Biden, like, flipped off. It's like, oh my God, oh my, the freedom of speech all of a sudden, right? And Nigeria decided, and it was quite funny. I think it was Nigeria, wasn't it? It was an African country. I'm pretty sure it was Nigeria. But basically what happened was that the official government Twitter account of the president got suspended for sharing misinformation or some shit, right? So the president went like, okay, fuck Twitter then. And he literally banned it from the country during the election period. And Joe Biden was like, oh my God, how can we influence the election? Sorry, how can we make sure that the election in Nigeria is safe and secure from misinformation? So, if you believe that social media is so harmful to democracy, right? It's so dangerous. I mean, it's not something that you need to survive, right? It's not something that's vital for a nation's health. Shut it the fuck down. Pass a law, 2 months before the election, maybe 1 month after, no more social media. Like Twitter, Facebook, all of them, they need to shut down. But you're not going to do that, right? Because you don't really care about misinformation. Well, what you care is about promoting what the censors believe that people should think. Was it Uganda? It was, I think it was like 1 or 2 years ago. So I don't really remember exactly. But I'm pretty sure, hold on, let me check. Uganda bans Twitter. No, I think it was Nigeria, man. You know what would be funny if it's actually both? It would be hilarious if it's both Nigeria and Uganda. But anyway, right. Unconstitutional? Dude, if a lot of people believe that misinformation is literally the devil, they can make another constitutional amendment. Like, if you have a situation where literally everyone agrees, yeah, you know what? Like, social media, harmful for democracy. Like, we need to change it. You can pass a constitutional amendment. There's no excuses, literally.
That was a very cool thing that Elon Musk did. I mean, this, for the record, what Elon Musk is doing is being viewed from a political lens, which I think there is a legitimate reason to view from a political lens. However, what you also have to recognize is what Elon Musk is doing is 100% what capitalists do. He went in.
Hassan Piker, you're a millionaire. Shut the fuck up. You're a capitalist as well. But what's interesting, and this is what I noticed, okay? Elon Musk just destroyed the elite's treehouse. That's what he did. He went to Twitter, which is the place where the elites network, where all the journalists talk to each other, where they discuss on how to cover the news, and right? And he took a big dump on that. And now you have all the millionaires screaming in pain and an outrage, right? It's not the average people that are complaining. It's not like the average Joe, the plumber, that's like, oh my god, well, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. No, it's literally the millionaires. It's like Hassan Piker that lives in a fucking mansion. You know, like, these are the people that are the most upset about it. It's like, oh, yeah, this is what capitalists do.
He bought a company and he gutted it. He is going to put pressure on the existing workers within that company to do the work of multiple workers now. That's...
Do you even know, like, okay, I would believe him if I didn't see a video of this lady working at Twitter on how she was talking about going her day, you know, and she was like, okay, so I'm at the office, and now I'm on the rooftop, and I'm sunbathing, and this is the place where you do yoga, and this is where we have free food, and this is the place where we drink wine, and I shit you not, chat, like, do you know those places where you get, like, you go to a Taco Bell, right, and they give you, like, they give you a paper, the thing for the juice, you know, like they give you the cup for the juice. And then you go there and you press a button and Pepsi Cola drops in or Fanta or whatever, right? At Twitter, that you press the button and fucking red wine came out. Like at the workplace. At the fucking workplace. Hassan, if you were to hire people and they would spend their time sunbathing, doing yoga, drinking wine on your money, I have like a small, tiny feeling that you might not be fine with that. And with all of this, take into account that Twitter was also losing $4 million a day. All right? So it's not like this was a profitable place and, you know, like Elon Musk came in and it's like, oh yes, let's destroy Twitter. And also the idea that he would get so many people on board, because like this is what leftists think. Leftists think that one day Elon Musk woke up from his slumber and he said, you know what, I'm going to buy Twitter. In reality, if you actually follow the news, he was speaking with other investors, he was collaborating with them, he was trying to get money from other people, so it's not just his money. And on top of that, of course, yeah, he wants to actually make Twitter profitable. But like, you don't know how many diversity officers were at Twitter, Hassan. Like, why do you need diversity officers when the company is losing $4 million a day? You need a diversity officer when the company is profitable. And you're like, okay, who else can we hire? Because it doesn't really matter at this point. Yeah, okay, like hire, you know, like an army of them. I looked at, like Twitter has a human rights team. All right? A human rights, what the fuck? It's a social media website. It can be run by probably 300 people. Why does it have a human rights team? Do you know how much they were paid? Like, besides the fact that most people there were paid over... and I'm talking about like the, you know, like the middle management, right? So they were paid over $7,000 and then they got perks, $7,000 per month, by the way. And then they got perks, like the company would buy them a phone call every 2 years. The company would buy them a new phone every 2 years. Their phone bill was paid by the company. They would have free food. They would have free drinks at the office. Like, the wage was just the start. Right? And the wages went all the way to like even more than $10,000 a month. But no, yes, like Elon just went there and decided, oh yes, I'm going to make some people's lives miserable.
That's how mergers and acquisitions happen. Everyone is looking at this from like, well, what does this say about Elon's politics? Is he doing this because like, you know, the midterm elections are happening and he wants to like spread misinformation on Twitter? Now, that could be a secondary reason for why he's...
Dude, ever since Elon got in, Twitter actually has more subscribers, right? So sure, you know, the advertisers are leaving and all of that shit, But when you look at the numbers and the traffic on the website has increased dramatically. Elon Musk is more inclusive with the people on Twitter than the previous management with their army of HR ladies that were yapping their mouth about inclusivity.
He's doing it. But this is no different than the way every fucking capital owner works. This is what, like, entire companies are...
I mean, to be honest, wasn't Hassan Piker involved in a scandal where he was having an editor and he wasn't paying him? I guess, you know, like, maybe I should listen to Hassan about capitalism, because I got a lot to learn from him. Like, he is very savvy when he does this. He's more successful than I am, so I should pay attention when he says what a capitalist does, because I need to emulate that shit.
Propped up to do specifically this, like consulting firms. Like, this is what Bain Capital did. This is what Bain did. Elon Musk himself is, like, openly Republican, okay? He is definitely...
What, Bain was a capitalist now? Bane from Batman was a capitalist? I'm pretty sure he was an anarchist, but okay.
Definitely siding with the Republicans very openly lately. I mean, it's not surprising. It's called busting out.
Why is it not surprising? Like, to me, it is surprising because almost every other rich person is on the sides of the Democrats. Like, let's see, look at the banks: Chase Bank, J.P. Morgan. Like we can go through a list of very wealthy people, and we can see if they're left-leaning or right-leaning by analyzing their posts and statements on Twitter.
Or, sorry, reducing redundancy. That's the corporate term for it. Reducing redundancy or eliminating redundancies. They act like if a job could be done by one person, but it's being delegated out to two people because they want to fucking lower the workload.
But what about this, Hassan? What about if a job can be done by one person and you have one coder who's actually doing something, and then you have 4 people supervising the coder? What about that, Hassan? You know, like what if you have like 5 people doing a job, but 4 people aren't doing the actual job? They're just monitoring the person doing the job. What about that? Do you not think that the environment may be a little bit toxic when you're the guy who has to work and you're placed in the fucking basement of the company and you have like 4 bosses looming over you that don't even look at you like you're a human being and they only care about, you know, how much profit you can make and how can you increase their statistics? And all the bosses, all the HR ladies, they got access to the wine vending machine, and they got access to the spa, and they got access to the big screen TV, and they spend like hours just drinking and talking to each other, while you, who is in the fucking basement, aren't even allowed to go upstairs. I don't know if Hasan actually knows about this, but like if you actually talk to people who work in a corporate environment, especially at a large corporation like Twitter, they will tell you that this is something that is repeating almost everywhere across California.
Of both of those individuals, they will consider that a redundancy that needs to be eliminated, so you can make that one fucking person work extra hard.
That's another thing, you know, like Hasan. Like, why don't you hire 5 video editors, right? Like, why would you only hire 1? Why not hire 5 video editors? I mean, you're a rich person, right? Surely you can afford it. Man, I would really be curious to look at Hassan Piker's staff, right? Like, I would like to see how many people he employs. And if he doesn't employ any, I would ask why not. Like, why aren't you sharing the wealth, comrade? Why don't you get other people to... or maybe, you know, like, there are people that are willing to work for free and they get paid in exposure. I mean, that's always a nice way to handle business.
For the same price. I don't think it's politics. I think it's just profoundly stupid. It's politics only insofar as he's dumb and addicted that he gets all his info from incel Twitter and just repeats their bonehead takes about free speech. I think that, personally, I think that he is an idiot, okay? He is not a smart guy.
He's the richest man on earth, Hassan. He is the richest man on earth. He sends rockets to space, like literally. You know that thing? It's like we're not sending rockets to the moon. Like, do you guys have that expression in the U.S. language, in the English language, right? It's like this is a Romanian expression, but it's basically when you're doing something simple and someone else doesn't get it, and you're saying, "Come on, this is simple. We're not sending rockets to the moon, okay?" Elon is literally sending rockets into fucking space. Like, you don't have to like the man. You don't have to agree with the man. But surely, you can say that, yeah, well, he's a little bit smart. I mean, maybe he knows what he is doing. Maybe he understands a little bit. After managing, didn't he create, or he was a co-creator, right, of PayPal? Right, like, so he's got PayPal, he's got SpaceX, he's got Tesla. Like, I would say that maybe he is not dumb. I can say, he's a bad person, he's greedy. I can say a lot of shit, but I wouldn't say that he is stupid. Oh yeah, we're not doing brain surgery is the American expression. I like the Romanian one more. It's like, we're not sending rockets to the moon. All right, the Romanian the American expression, we're not doing brain surgery.
And there's nothing better than the awful situation he put himself in, as he was forced to purchase Twitter at a way higher fucking price point than it was worth, and is now tanking the fucking platform without even thinking about the implications of such, specifically because he is personally addicted to tweeting.
My God, living in a fantasy land. Again, it's not just him. Like, he's got other investors that put money. It's not that he woke up one day and decided this. I mean, if you look at the court documents during discovery, which he had when he was talking with the people at Twitter, you would see that this was long in the plans, like even before the media started talking about it. And the idea that he got Twitter because he's into Twitter. No, Hassan, no.
He did not fucking realize that this was going to be a gigantic fuck up. Why? Specifically because it's Twitter. Everyone's fucking annoying. Why?
I have a feeling that it's not going to be a fuck up. I have a feeling that even before buying it, he was talking about having a subscription-based system so that he doesn't have to rely on advertisers. So I definitely think that he can actually manage it. I mean, when the advertisers tried to boycott Facebook told them to fuck off. And you know what happened? The advertisers went back on Facebook. I don't think the advertisers can afford not to be on Twitter. So I think if he weathers the storm, if he fires enough people, right, there is no reason why Twitter should be losing $4 million a day. It's a fucking website which people in a garage can make. I don't understand why you need so many people working on this, right? So as long as you can just keep the website operational and you weather the storm of shit, I'm pretty sure things will go back to normal. Like, eventually the advertisers are going to come back. And if he manages to get a subscription program where the people on Twitter get to pay for stuff, plus other things. Like, for example, he's talking about allowing people to make videos on Twitter. I don't know how popular it will be, but surely, like 40-minute videos. People like myself and others can upload our YouTube videos on Twitter. And he wants to have the same thing, like super chats and super thanks and stuff like that, where the viewers can contribute to the actual person that made the videos, and Twitter takes a cut, right? Like, there's different ways of having monetization where you don't have to rely on the advertisement. And from what we see, there are more people using the website now than there were when the previous CEO was in. So I don't see how he is tanking it. The only way he could be tanking it is if the US government steps in. Times are tight, but I'm able to give this small token appreciation. Wouldn't want to miss your entertainment in the current artistic desert. Well, thank you, Dick Cheesehead. I really appreciate that. Yeah, monetization on Twitter is probably going to happen. Like think about it this way. Like Substack, but on Twitter. There's various ways. And it depends how he's handling it, right? Like, I do expect that there's going to be censorship on Twitter. I don't think that it's going to be like the libertarian heaven where you can say whatever you want. But I want the rules to be applied evenly, right? If I see like a left-leaning person death-threatening J.K. Rowling, I want them to get banned just as well as a right-wing person death threats AOC or whatever. Like, it should be the same rules that apply to everyone. It shouldn't be just like one set of rules for some people, and then the blue check marks are the lords and everyone else is the peasants. Oh yeah, memberships on Twitter, like that. There's just so many ways. Holy shit, like if he goes into, like, for example, I made a video recently about Indiegogo shadow banning comic book creators. I mean, if he were to allow people to crowdfund on Twitter, that would also be something. Like, the man helped make PayPal. I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing, and he can have some of that knowledge applied here. Hassan should be worried about Candyman. Man, unironically, like, Candyman lives rent-free in this guy's head. Like, I saw how he snapped at the TwitchCon. You know, like, like literally going into some people that just asked him a question and telling them a new one. Who's stopping Hassan from leaving Twitter? Well, of course, like, that's the thing. They're not going to leave Twitter. They're not going to leave Twitter because like, they need this shit. They need this shit. You can't do your content without this shit. Like, what is Hassan Piker's content? Like, literally reading Twitter posts. Like, up until now, he just read Twitter post after Twitter post after Twitter. Do you think he's going to leave the fucking platform?
Why did you think that they weren't going to be annoying to you? Twitter is the perfect platform to have people who otherwise were diehard fans of yours turn on you on a fucking dime and complain about every other thing that you did, because that's how parasocial relationships often operate. Elon was like, oh, I can't wait to have like all my parasocial stans love me. I'm going to buy Twitter. Well, oops, maybe I don't want to buy Twitter. Maybe it's not actually a great idea to buy Twitter. And then he was like, oh no, fuck, I'm actually stuck and have to buy Twitter now. Okay.
I don't even know what to say. Like, the level of understanding of how economics are being done is just ridiculous. I mean, the lawsuit was obviously a negotiation maneuver, right? Like, he wanted to see if they can settle for less. They didn't, so he bought it. I just...
Hey, I bought Twitter. Now I can't even fucking manage it. The hilarious tragedy of Elon Musk is
and by the way, it's like, now I can't even manage it. Like, how many days has he been on Twitter? Like, don't you think it's too early to say? Like, if you are being honest, you say, well, we'd have to wait at least 3 months, but I believe that he's not going to manage it, or some shit like that. Like, he hasn't even changed anything. It's still the same platform. Like, if he can't manage it, then it's clearly the problem of the previous people, because it's the same thing. Nothing has changed.
That he really wants to post, but he can't. The man can't post. It's not in his blood, and it never will be. He can spend all the money in the world, and he'll never be a poster. The real ones know exactly what I mean. Yeah, he is a loser, but not a big enough loser to...
Elon Musk, the richest man on earth, is a loser, according to Hassan Piker. Holy shit.
...be able to be a good poster. Because a lot of incredibly funny people are just gigantic fucking losers with...
Just ratio the AOC, by the way. Like, if Elon Musk is a loser and he ratio the AOC, what does that say about AOC?
Nothing to lose. That's why they're so good at posting. You need to have, one, the right type of mental illness, and two, nothing to fucking lose. Elon...
That is another bad take, showing how little he understands capitalism. Like, if you look at most of the billionaires, right? JP Morgan, like all of the Rothschilds, you look at like some of the richest people on the planet, Jeff Bezos, right? How often do they take risks? Like, how often does Jeff Bezos step out into the light and then, like, no, this is wrong, and he takes, like, a very divisive political stance, or he makes a very risky acquisition? You know, you see, like, Jeff Bezos coming in and just, like, outright buying something that's very risky. It never fucking happens, because all the billionaires are fiscally conservative. They're very careful about their money, because they have a lot to lose. The more you have in wealth, the more you have to lose. It's not the other way around. It's like, oh, I got all the money, I can throw it away. Because, like, again, Hassan Piker could hire 10 video editors, but he's got money to lose, right? So, it's just so bizarre to think like this. The more money you have, the more you have to lose. So what Elon Musk did is actually very controversial, right? Because, like, he is actually risking a lot on this endeavor. But there was something else that I wanted to say. It's just like it just slipped my mind. Joe Field, thank you for the $10. I've spoken to you on a different name on Discord. Laum, I remember Laum. I just want to say I've been watching all your live streams and I'm glad I finally caught one. Thanks for speaking your mind. Love you. Why, thank you, but I do have a wife. Does Hassan actually believe what he says on stream? Man, I can't fucking tell. Like, I would pay money just to sit with Hassan Piker outside of the camera and just have a talk with him. And it's like, did you really believe that, or are you just saying it for the audience? Because you're on Twitch and, you know, like, all the audience is, like, incredibly left-leaning. Like, what do you think? Hassan Piker! Candyman is coming for... Again, like, look, I think that maybe Hassan Piker genuinely believes what he's saying. Because like, he's not very socially savvy. Like, what I mean by this, right? Like, okay, so he puts this impression that he likes to, you know, work out, and he's very strong and muscular, and he talks about punching Nazis and shit. And then this comedian challenges him to a fight, right? Now, he obviously doesn't want to fight. What I would have said, if I was Hassan Piker, right? I get the Candyman, like, he's challenging me. And I would say like that, look, I don't do any of this internet cringe shit, because I'm a political commentator and I have to act presentable. I'm not going to go into a ring. So I'm sorry, I will decline that. But if you want, we can get together and have a conversation, a debate, whatever. We donate the money to a charity of my choice, like trans children or something, whatever. We donate the money to a charity, and we're going to have one debate. I can do that, but I'm not going to do any of this internet cringe fighting shit, which is really lame, and I'm not interested. If you were to say that, none of this would happen, right? Because I can see when he goes at TwitchCon and he is stressed out. You can see how stressed out he is about this guy living rent-free in his head, pumping up candy left and right. You can definitely see it. And he could have avoided all of this if he'd done what I just said. He can't say that after he says he'd punch a Nazi. Yeah, he can. He can be like, oh, well, you know, obviously I didn't mean it like literally. I meant it like figuratively. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Or he can say, well, I don't think Candyman is a Nazi. You know, I do think he's got like some extreme views and he's radical, but I wouldn't call him a Nazi. I mean, there's so many ways you can just, you know, avoid all of this shit.
Elon Musk has too much to lose and not the right type of mental illness for posting. Elon, great chat yesterday. As you heard,
oh wait, my bad. He actually said that Elon Musk has too much to lose. All right.
Overwhelming from senior advertisers on the call. The issue concerning all of us, content moderation, is impact on brand safety and sustainability. You say you're committed to moderation, but you just laid off 75% of the moderation team. Advertisers are not being...
Because he doesn't trust the moderators. Like honestly, Hasan, if you were to have like some moderators in your fucking chat, and they were only enforcing the rules that you have to some people, but not enforcing them to others, would you still keep them around? That is such a dumb fucking take, you know? It's like, oh, well, he's committed to moderation, but he fired the moderation team. Yeah. I mean, why? Like, dude, if people... But it's not only that. People on the fucking side don't trust the moderation team, right? Like, the moment Elon Musk got in and fired the moderation team, the number of Twitter users increased dramatically. So, like, those moderators were bad for business. You said so at the beginning of the fucking video that you like the new fact-checking, right? Like, the new fact-checking because everyone gets fact-checked and you find that to be more fair and, you know, it's democratic, the people are doing it, power to the people, all that shit, right? People trust that system more than the previous one. Oh, by the way, this is glorious. Elon Musk banned this guy. I love it.
Manipulated by activist groups, they're being compelled by established principles around the types of companies they can do business with.
Advertisers are not being manipulated by activist groups. They literally fucking are. Like, you actually have activist groups stating that we are going to force these advertisers to stop working on Twitter. Like, they literally are being forced. And the idea that, oh, well, you know, advertisers have ethics. Okay, if they have ethics, why do they still have ads in Russia and China? Why do they have manufacturing in China or in other places where they use child labor and shit? Right? Like, let's stop pretending that brands have a morality. Like, brands care about their bottom line, right? Like, Mr. Capitalist, you understand this shit, right? So brands care about making money. The moment you have companies being pressured by activists and they believe, okay, well, if these activists go ham on us, we might actually lose money, then they're going to do what the activists tell them to.
The left for starting the adpocalypse, but they realized like, oh shit, it was low key because like corporations are like, we want the platform to be woke, okay? You can get mad at that all you fucking want, but ultimately if you want to make money, these are the rules of the game.
Corporations are being woke because they are forced by the government, for example in California now, to hire HR people. HR people are hired by going through academic universities which are teaching them how to be woke. Right? So you have to now hire woke people that are in charge of the hiring process at your company. Now, if you were to have a company that would put hardcore Catholics in charge of the hiring process, do you not think that the view of the entire company may change? in a couple of years. But even then, you also have investors with ESG scores, and they care about being woke, right? Like, that's why companies are woke. But they're not really woke. They just pretend to be woke. They just virtue signal, right? Like all these companies, yeah, sure, they will put the LGBT flag in the United States, but in places where the LGBT activism is really needed, like in Saudi Arabia, the company will shut the fuck up. I mean, Netflix, for example, right? Like, Netflix is all a very progressive company, and, they will even put the cooties up there, and they're very fine with it. But the moment they had an interview that was critical to the Saudi Arabian regime, and the Saudi king said, no, you take that shit down, they complied. So don't give me the bullshit that, yeah, well, companies are being woke, they care about... No, they don't. All right? Like, companies, they only care about fear. And right now, there's a lot of activists which are able to swing their big dick around and scare corporations. Now, I don't think it's a good... I think it's a good idea that Elon Musk is casting a spotlight on this, right? Like, people, like the millions of people who are losing touch with their favorite creator, and they can't find their favorite creator online anymore, should know who's responsible for this. Right? It shouldn't be like, oh, well, Twitter just banned this guy. No, it should be like, Twitter banned this guy because of pressure from this activist group. Which, by the way, like, it even, the fact that Hassan doesn't even mention the fact that the FBI was pressuring Twitter to censor, that's also interesting, because I believe that the article came out a couple of weeks ago. Like, you should be able to know about this. Hassan fan base is the type of people who lack enough maturity to actually accept what you're suggesting, V. They sub to him for energy, is mid-wit leftist takes, and being civil defeats that. I have no fucking idea who Hassan Piker's audience is or why they sub to him. I don't know why you guys sub to me, to be honest. But, like, I'm not even caring about his audience. It's like, I'm just judging what he's saying.
Most people understand why that happened on YouTube, and they weren't fucking Elon Musk. Elon Musk, for some weird reason.
On YouTube, you had the mainstream media. It was the Wall Street Journal, which, by the way, is more of a right-wing outlet. So, I guess, like, the apocalypse was actually started by the right wing on YouTube. With 3 journalists, by the way. One of them cracking Jew jokes and liking South Park and, doing all the shit that he was accusing PewDiePie of doing on Twitter. And they attacked PewDiePie for jokes and stuff, right? And they were calling PewDiePie a racist while omitting the fact that PewDiePie has donated millions of dollars to charities in Africa. Yeah, he donated money for AIDS, to stop AIDS in Africa. He donated money to build wells in African villages and bring clean water to people, right? Like, all that shit completely erased. Instead, what you have is the image that, well, he made a racist joke. Clearly, he's a racist, right? So, that's how the apocalypse started. Now, regarding the apocalypse, if you look at what corporations want, they probably wanted cheaper ads, right? So, the moment they had this thing, it's like, okay, so we can get cheaper ads on YouTube if we boycott them for like 2 or maybe 3 months. They pulled back. YouTube goes like, oh no, please come back and we're going to give you better rates. And the companies were like, okay. So they renegotiated. That's what I think happened with the apocalypse on YouTube. That's my opinion, by the way. I'm not saying it's fact. I'm not saying it actually happened. But it's a lot more likely that, oh, well, like companies were upset because PewDiePie made the joke.
Cannot, though. It's just odd. If you purchase a fucking platform and your main point is like, I'm going to destroy the moderation on this platform, even if you're not actually going to do it, then yeah, people are going to fucking turn around and be like, yeah, I don't want to.
Okay, let's put it a different way. Hassan, if you bought my YouTube channel, for whatever reason, you want my YouTube channel, right? Like, you see something in my YouTube channel and you're like, you know what? I want this channel. Would you keep my moderators? And if you decide, you know what? I don't know these people. Moderators are very important for a channel. I mean, I can get... I'm on Twitch. I can get community guideline strikes for moderation, for bad moderation, blah, blah. Would you keep them? Or would you be, no, I'm going to bring my own team. And you're going to fire mine and you're going to bring yours. These socialists, they never think, it's like, how would I run a business? Because obviously, if I were to buy Hassan Piker's channel, let's say that, I have the money He wants to retire, and his channel is up for sale. And I'll be, you know what, I can buy it, and I can make something cool out of it. So I buy Hassan Piker's channel. Will I hold his moderators? Especially if they're not happy with the new management. Especially since, like, the previous management, like Hassan Piker, you know, he's got one type of ideology and he's running his channel one way. I got a different type of ideology and I want to run the channel in a different way. Why on earth would I still hold your moderation team? That doesn't mean that I don't want moderators. That means that I want my moderators. I want the people I trust to work with.
I don't want to pay for that anymore. And now he's like responding to Ian Miles wrong, dude. It's time to stop appeasing the activists because they will stop at nothing to hurt Twitter regardless of what you do. You're right. Not realizing that, like, one, he's responding to some of the worst fucking right-wing weirdos while simultaneously blocking literal advertisement executives.
Hassan, business negotiations do not happen on Twitter. All right, repeat after me. Business negotiations do not happen on Twitter. Just like world diplomacy, despite what leftists think, because Donald Trump was president and he was, does not happen on Twitter. All right, but like just so you can understand what Elon Musk bought, like you believe in the magic that business negotiations happen on fucking Twitter. Like they don't. Business negotiations happen in real life, usually with teams of lawyers involved. There is absolutely no fucking reason. What? And even if you were like to talk about a business negotiation, why would you do it in public? Like this shit, you know what Lo Psakalis is doing? This is done by phone calls, emails. You don't do this shit in public. Of course he's going to get blocked, which is the perfect response. You know, if I was to write an article, a video about it, Elon Musk makes the perfect response. You know, like, in what world do you even think, like, okay, if I were to buy, again, your Twitch channel, my favorite example, right? If I were to buy your Twitch channel, would we have this conversation in public on Twitter? Or would we do it in DMs? Or through lawyers or something? My fucking God, like, these people, they live on the internet and they genuinely believe that everyone is Santa. Because, like, on the internet, everyone can claim they're Santa. And they believe in the magic. Horseshoe theory works, both fringe left and right want to appease Putin. So many online personalities lost my respect except V, Dev, and Arch. How did this all happen? I don't know, man, but I'm glad that I have your, I'm glad that I have your support. Alright, you know what? Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to stop here, and we're going to continue tomorrow, because I do feel really sick. And I think I'm having a little bit of a fever. So I'll end the video here and we're going to finish the ref tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry I can't do any more. But hopefully I'll see you guys again at the same hour. Also, I'm going to appear with Sticks, Hex, and Hammer during the election night. I think that's 2 days from now. So maybe I'll see you guys there as well. Thank you so much for the super chats.